The trial of Hunter Biden on the federal gun charges began today in Delaware, days after the verdict in the New York criminal trial of former President Donald Trump. And I just wish more people would be intellectually consistent on two cases that do raise similar concerns. Why the former president and the current president's son were or are being tried based on legal theories that have literally never been pursued before, like ever. You've heard so many on the right wanting the book thrown at Hunter Biden, while at the same time declaring the Trump case a travesty of justice. And while many on the left celebrating the Trump verdict believe, well, Hunter Biden's getting a raw deal. At their core, these are both cases about falsifying paperwork. And right out front, let's say what should be plainly obvious. If Donald Trump and Hunter Biden were average citizens, neither case would have been brought. And both former President Trump and Hunter Biden are also both likely technically guilty of the crimes that they were charged with. But if we're talking about Donald Smith and Hunter Davis, these cases wouldn't have been brought. And yet so many partisans just insist on arguing that the case against one is a sham, while the case against the other is a slam dunk, like former prosecutor Jeanine Pirro on Fox News, who was apoplectic after the Trump verdict came down.
We've been calling it lawfare. I think lawfare is far too soft. It's far too benign. This is warfare. This is the taking down of someone, not just politically, but legally, and looking to take away their civil liberties.
Warfare against Donald Trump. Compare that with her interpretation of the case against Hunter Biden today on Fox News.
This isn't just an illegal gun case. You know, we see them all the time and people get away with them all the time. This is a guy who went in and lied on a pistol permit application. He lied to the guy he was buying it from. And of course, he took possession of it while he was engaged in the use of illegal drugs and narcotics. But so it's not just gun possession. It's not just the use of the gun. It's a use of a gun when you're surrounded by drugs. You know, it's perjury on a felony affirmation. And so it's not just illegal gun possession. It's so much more than that.
Right. It's so much more than that. It's perjury on a federal affirmation. Come on. I mean, Hunter Biden's being charged with 2 counts related to false statements in purchasing the firearm, a 3rd count of illegally obtaining a firearm while addicted to drugs. He purchased a Colt Cobra 38 SPL revolver, speed loader, a firearm accessory, 25 rounds of ammo from a Wilmington, Delaware gun store. He filled out a federal form. He checked the box saying he was not abusing drugs. The government's position is he knew it wasn't true. Now, Biden had the firearm for less than 2 weeks. His then partner, was actually the widow of his brother, discovered the weapon, threw it in a dumpster. He foolishly acknowledged all of this in his memoir, writing that he was addicted to crack around that time. 2 counts of making false statements carry sentences of up to 10 years and 5 years. Could be talking about 25 years if it's all served consecutively. Now, with Hunter Biden being a first-time offender, there's no way he'll receive that kind of sentence, and it's hard to imagine he'll go to jail at all. But if it were just about anyone else, it wouldn't have gone this far. How do we know that? Because no case like it in American history has ever gone this far. That's right. There has never been another criminal prosecution ever by the feds of someone just for lying about drug use on a gun form where there was just one gun, the gun was not used in a crime, there was no other crime committed with it, and where the person had no criminal record. Not one case. So the idea that you're seeing from some on the right that this case is about anything other than a paperwork violation is ludicrous. Obviously, we don't want guns in the hands of those who are addicted to drugs. But the gun in question has not been linked to any kind of crime. And yet you have people like Pirro and her colleague Jesse Waters defending the merits of this case brought by Biden's own DOJ, while at the same time blasting the Trump prosecution.
This was the kind of slam dunk case you could have reasonably brought against someone like Donald Trump. You have a weapon that tested positive for cocaine. You have 3 eyewitnesses. You have the defendant confessing. You have video evidence, a smoking gun document. but instead they bring a case against Trump for a $130,000 NDA. Meanwhile, Congress has over 100 NDAs totaling $17 million. No one in Congress was charged with campaign finance violations. It's because their names aren't Trump.
Oh, yeah, if that case was brought against Trump, he would have been supporting it. Look, I agree the case against Trump should not have been brought. The case was based on a novel legal theory which had never been prosecuted before. And as I said many times about the case against Trump, it's a case that could have been brought years ago. Trump had already been accused by federal prosecutors in 2018 of having violated the law in this case with what seemed like the same facts. I also questioned the motivation of Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg in bringing it. It came on the heels of a book which another prosecutor was brought in to build a fraud case against Trump, criticized Bragg for declining to seek an indictment there. And yet in the left-leaning media, you're seeing the case against Hunter Biden getting criticized by some, while the case against Trump is being celebrated. Here's former Senator Claire McCaskill's assessment of the Hunter Biden case earlier today on MSNBC.
How many charges like this did you see brought when you were at DOJ?
0.
Yeah. So, I mean, there really isn't, this isn't something that typically the Department of Justice has big fish to fry in terms of criminal activity. Somebody who has lied about their addiction status on an application to buy a gun generally doesn't make their top 100 crimes they're worried about.
But the Manhattan DA doesn't have big fish to fry, right? They don't have fish to fry at all. Again, it's a fair analysis of the Hunter Biden case, and one I agree with. But compare that with what she said about the Trump prosecution.
This is just simple. There were facts and evidence and law. They were presented to a jury that was duly selected with input from both sides, both the defense and the prosecution, and he was convicted. It's not complicated.
It's not complicated, right? The intellectual inconsistency can be maddening. Look, you're allowed to think Hunter Biden was targeted because of his name and got a raw deal. And you're allowed to think Donald Trump was targeted in the Manhattan case because of his name, got a raw deal. But to say one got shafted and not the other is almost certainly going to be rank partisanship. I think it's looking at two very similar, when I say cases, they're not similar in terms of the type of cases, but in terms of how they were brought, why they were brought. It seems to me if you're just supporting one and not the other, you may be looking at it through red or blue tinted glasses. All right, regardless of how we got here, Hunter Biden's now on trial. Jury of 6 men, 6 women, chosen today. Opening statements will begin tomorrow for a case expected to be brief, much less than 2 weeks from beginning to end. And again, my opinion of this case technically differs from my view of whether the case should have been brought. Hunter Biden admitted in his memoir that he was using drugs. There's also information prosecutors plan to use from text messages and the infamous Hunter Biden laptop. It's going to be a difficult defense on the merits. It's hard to see how he didn't make a false statement on the form he filled out when he bought his gun. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.